And they did one of those things I like where you overplay a joke or over repeat it till you're like, and then bring it in one more time and it's hilarious again. Like the thing at the very end where it's just like,
it's a risky proposition.
It is. But when it pays off. Yeah, just, man,
I don't know if you acknowledge that it doesn't pay off 100% of the time.
I still like it. I'm a risk taker. I'm a gambler. It's a good thing I'm broke, or I'd be broke. Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, and we're here with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen, where we're talking about movies. And of course, as I stated before, and I will state again, I cannot do this conversation alone. It would be kind of weird. So of course, I got one of my best friends in the world, really love trading conversation pieces with them. Of course, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey. Hello, Omari. I enjoy trading conversation pieces with you.
Thank you. And yes, this guy hasn't seen, where, you know, we talk about movies that one guy has seen and the other guy hasn't. This week we got a movie from my childhood that I saw a lot when I was younger. It's Keenen Ivory Wayans' I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka. It's a 1988 film starring Keenen Ivory Wayans, as well as, I believe, Bernie Casey, Isaac Hayes, Jim Brown, and a lot of other like cameos from great people. Stephen James, I know, is in this one too. Plays Kung Fu Joe. Lots of great people. Damon Wayans, because as you people probably know at home, and if you don't, because it's been a while since they've been in the big spotlight, but generally, especially the fans, my fellow Omarikans out there.
The Omarikans, is that what we're calling them?
Well, yeah, like from Omarica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, my fellow people out there. If you're unaware of the Wayans and their typical MO of Keenen Ivory Wayans, it's something that I would do if I was in his position, where he's just like, hey, friends, family, y'all want in this? Let's just fill the cast with that. Generally, that he did it with In Living Color and other stuff, and his other movies that he would have down the line with Sean and Marlon. And sure enough,
I mean, it helps that he has a really fucking funny family.
It does. They're a very talented family.
Like, I would, if I did that, it like my family is not that funny.
Well, I threw in Friends as well. For me, True. That's why I stated it that way. Because while I have some talented people in my family, it's not the Wayans level. I think we have a friend that could probably do something like that, but you and I would need to get other friends in as well as the family. But that said, it has, so to say that is to say that Damon Wayans also plays, he's a constant screen presence in this film as well. Kim, I believe, makes a cameo. We'll get into it. Anyway, it's a movie that when I was younger, as I realize now, I never watched the whole thing. I probably watched the same like VHS that recorded, I guess, like a TV version of it, because some of these jokes and stuff, I didn't see like the entire scene. There was more profanity in them than I thought there would be. The first opening part of the movie was nigh unrecognizable to me.
Okay.
Like, there's a scene, I think, in the bar with the stunt double for the
where they replace his mother with a white man in a obviously fake gigantic mustache, but her entire costume otherwise.
Yes.
And they just blatantly replace the mom character for the entire fight scene with this gentleman.
Yes, that was about where it first started being like, oh yes, this is the movie I remember. Like, I knew I was watching the right movie because character names and stuff, but that I was like, okay, yes, I, for whatever reason, always remembered, like, from that was like my earliest memory in the film, and then from there on was like, aha, nostalgia. Like I said though, when I was single digits / early teens, or not early teens, but early double digits, watched the hell out of that. When I lived with my grandma, watched the hell out of that movie. Would remember, I got to a point where I'm quoting along the sidelines and stuff as it gets later in the film, which is about what I had expected to do. You, Sir Bill, any reason you hadn't seen it, or because, well, I guess you hadn't seen it considering the premise of the show.
Well, no, I had not seen it, to my knowledge.
Okay. To your knowledge, but you've seen it.
When I agreed upon this gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
The moment Keenan Ivory Wayans steps out in that jacket and tie, I'm like, oh yeah. This is one of those movies that, like, 12-year-old me would have been scrolling through the channels on cable, probably at my dad's house, because he was the one who had cable, and even for a good portion of my childhood, even had the early years of HBO, where you had to have the separate little box on top of the TV that had the red digits. And
awesome.
So this would have been a movie that I was scrolling through channels, stopped, saw, oh, the guy from In Living Color, and watched maybe 40 minutes of it.
Gotcha.
Without ever knowing its name.
Okay.
So there was a good middle portion of this film that definitely rang familiar.
All right. And to your credit, when you mentioned the whole gentleman's agreement and you thought you hadn't seen it, when, you know, we peeked behind the curtain last year, we'll go ahead and do it again. This was one of the first films I came up with where I was like, maybe there's a chance Bill hasn't seen this because of, let's just say, cultural differences.
Yeah.
So I was like, see that, and you were like, I want to say that I've seen it, but I don't remember nearly enough to say that I definitely seen it. I might have just seen clips from it. That was your initial thing, which is another reason, aside from me not just wanting to be like, all right, what's a movie Bill hasn't seen? Insert black movie here. Got him.
I mean, it's only fair. A lot of the movies that I present are filled with a lot of white people.
That's also entirely fair, and I ended up not seeing them, so, you know, and then calling them all, and calling half of them British. So
it's that British humor. These people aren't British. Actually, this guy's from Texas.
Yeah, so I can't say nothing about that. But you were saying that, so I was like, then I started wondering, I started doubting myself, as I am wont to do, and I'm like, is this movie as funny as I remember? So I kept pushing it back on top of that. But eventually I'm like, you know what, after What We Do in the Shadows, which, you know, great film, and it's a brand of humor that maybe not everybody will pick up on immediately. I was like, you know what? Similar vein of brand of humor, not necessarily everybody will pick up on immediately. There's a point in the film where I believe just about everybody's going to find everything going on funny. For me, like from there on, kind of starts slow, which we'll get into for me. But I was like, this is a good time. Let's do it. I've been putting this off for literally months now. Let's go ahead and watch I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka. So I had mentioned what I was expecting on this time around, and that was to laugh at nostalgia. You know, I figured a lot of the jokes would be boosted by nostalgia for me. So I was like, that's what I expect. What were you expecting out of this?
Well, I was expecting a Wayans family production.
Okay.
I as I stated earlier, or I guess I hinted at earlier, in the early days of cable, I found early reruns. I think because they weren't new. I want to say they were on FX. But I can't even say if that was when I was younger. Unliving Color was on one of the deeper channels a lot, and I watched the fuck out of that show, and obviously went through kind of what led, I guess Sean and Marlon kind of led a lot of the movies that were getting made in our teenage and life, and I was following in on some of those, and also was a big fan of Damon. Blank Man was a big movie of my childhood, although that's not quite a Wayans family production.
I once got in trouble for trying to steal a VHS of Blank Man so that I could watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was one of those that my dad early on, because he would keep an eye on like the TV guide kind of thing and just throw a VHS in and record a movie off of HBO back in the day. And I would end up with this giant cabinet filled with VHSs that usually had name of movie / and then another movie. Because it's like, it's like a 4-hour tape. My dad's 6-hour tape. My dad's not going to waste it with one movie. And there was a movie that had Blank Man, and I wish I could tell you the other one. I want to say it was like a Hot Shots. But yeah, that was a really important. I don't know. I'm going on a tangent, but that was a really important VHS in my life. So I'm a big Wayne fan. Big Wayne supporter, which is why I had kind of seen a few clips of this movie. And best way when Jen was sitting down to watch it with me when we started it the other night, I kind of told her I'm anticipating potential. I know it's going to be a comedy, but I don't know what level of comedy. I'm anticipating it to be more in the scary movie, kind of them homaging Airplanes style, kind of like Airplane. Yeah, is what I imagined it to be, and then I guess as it starts going, my initial reactions are that opening scene, and I'm like, okay, yes, it's going to be Airplane level.
Yeah.
We have not yet met our main character, Keenan Ivory Wayans, Jack Spade, but we are meeting, I don't know, his brother, who has passed away from a overdose of wearing too much gold.
Yeah, he passed away from a case of OG. Over gold.
OG, yeah.
The second they said that line, I was like, all right, let's go. I was like, he died from a case of OG. Also, the opening song, the I'm gonna get you, sucker, you dirty mother. I had always heard my sisters quote that song, or at least that first line, you dirty mother, don't say that. Never heard the song until the day when I watched it. I was like, where in the movie do they play this song? So that's again why I was saying a lot of this movie was also kind of refreshed to me.
Right.
So
somebody was watching this movie and they were like, this is funny. I should probably record it. And then they put in the VHS and hit record. Like, that's the tape that you watched all those years?
Probably, yeah. but like I said, I don't remember the exact scenarios of how I only saw the same latter half of the movie and never the beginning. But it happened, and that's the only scenario I could think of because I just had the certain scenes placed in my head. And like I said, the beginning, the OG Over Gold, the case of Over Gold, I was unfamiliar about that. I might have seen the clip about when he finds out about the gold chains. He started wearing gold chains, and I just thought it was like, oh, he was becoming a gangster, not literal death by gold chains. Which, as we'll continue on, is apparently not pandemic. That you can't use that word when that's a real thing now. Big problem. Not epidemic. I want to say fucking something. Epidemic.
I mean, you can still use pandemic metaphorically.
Fair enough, but it's a big problem infecting the local community, the black community, where people are wearing too much gold and or dying from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we cut from that to the immediate gag of the funeral, where John Witherspoon, who also features in a lot of Wayans related material, and legend. He's given the funeral present, and then he gives a name, and everyone's like, "Wait, this is the wrong fucking funeral." They all fucking leave. And he was given and everyone was cool because he was talking about like how he died with too much gold and stuff, and they just like, "Oh no!" And when Junebug, wait, I thought this was Larry Wilkins. Nah, that's over there. Oh man, just a whole bunch of stuff early on just had me laughing.
I mean, there's so many bits in this movie. There's so many bits. There's so many jokes. Like, honestly, there's like, it's weird, but if I had any complaint, I wish they would have gone even harder. Yeah. There's a few scenes where they're playing it a little too straight.
I will give you that.
And just like, nah, man, keep hammering at me. Yeah. There's so which is the thing,
which is a note I think they took into like Don't Be a Menace. I feel like they took that kind of. I feel like they had the same sentiment of you. Like, okay, maybe some of these we played it too straight. Don't Be a Menace. Let's just.
Right. Like, not to. I mean, I'm gonna start jumping straight
around. I don't
start jumping straight into standout moments.
Okay.
The death of Isaac Hayes, like that is on par with the ridiculousness of death by too much gold.
Yeah.
Like, and the movie only goes there a handful of times to that level. But if you're gonna bring this movie's reality to that level, like fucking go.
It's funny, like
but man, that Isaac Hayes death destroyed me. I had to rewind it and be like, wait a minute, did I just
as a kid? That was one of my favorite scenes. So speaking of standout moments and stuff, so I'm putting my notes, because I've mentioned on this thing, I take notes sometimes with these. So before I went to standout moments,
going from the dome,
I went to standout moments before the film even started, and I just listed like 4 or 5 that I just knew I wanted to talk about, and Isaac Hayes' death was one of them. That was one of the things I was looking for. Same thing with Kung Fu Joe's, like everything, but definitely
fucking Kung Fu Joe is ridiculous.
Also, spoilers in case you didn't catch it, they didn't die.
Oh yeah, no, I let the credits play out for a bit because I was jamming out to the closing song. And then where I would normally pick up the controller and stop, I turned to Jen and I was like, I just have a feeling that this movie is going to have a post-credit scene. And I do like one little skip forward and boom, Kung Fu Joe.
I actually didn't see that. I just remembered him mentioning that Slammer and Hammer were gonna be fine, because Hammer being Isaac Hayes, and I knew I had heard that Kung Fu Joe lived. I thought they threw that in a line as well, but I had the knowledge that he lived. I don't think I saw the post-credit scene.
There's a post-credit scene.
Oh my god, I need to check that out.
He's crawling. It's the same setting
For the final fight.
as the final fight of Keenan walking out to KRS-One.
Yeah.
And it's that same street, but like everything's like it's completely dead. Nobody's there except for one dude. And Kung Fu Joe drags himself into frame. Slade. And he grabs this guy and he's like, I have to find John Slade. And like the guy's like, everybody went home, man. It's over.
Okay.
It's done.
I didn't see it last night, but I feel like I have seen that.
And he looks up to camera, and I believe, if my memory serves me correct, goes, Kung Fu Joe!
Fucking love Kung Fu
And
Joe.
that is the end of the movie.
That's how you make a lasting impact with like minimal lines. That man made the most out of that role, and it was fantastic.
Oh yeah. Like, man, when the dude, oh my god. He thinks they're about ready to fight him, and then it's just a hard cut to just guns. Just all the guns. All the guns.
Again, another one of my favorite things, just Master of Karate, Kung Fu, Ninjutsu, or Jujitsu, and a ton of other shit you motherfuckers ain't even heard of. And that's why I think I saw a TV version, because that ton of other shit you ain't even heard of, I just remembered Master of Karate, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, and then he's getting shot. Like they just cut him off while he's listing his things, which still worked and still I loved it as a kid. Like, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I probably saw a TV version.
Oh yeah, because you're cutting. Yeah, if you do that, the scene still makes sense, but you're cutting out a shit and a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kung Fu Joe, the best. Fly Guy.
Oh man, yeah. And then 2 scenes later, he just walks into frame, or like crawls into frame. Doesn't have any bullet holes or any, like, he's bloody and he's ripped up and he seems to be exhausted and pretty hurt, but like fine.
They try and ambush me. I like how he said that. And that was one of the things that even as a kid, I picked up on that line and just laughed. I'm like, they tried to ambush him, he says. Dude got shot the fuck up. He's like, they tried to ambush me. So this time when I heard that, I was like, did he get up, beat the shit out of those cops anyway, and then crawl to this foe?
Yeah, what? I'm so curious of what happened there after what cut, because it was all the guns.
They shot the shit out of this man, and according to him,
or
there
did
was
they?
50, according to him,
or is Kung Fu Joe like immortal?
The questions. They're out there. And I didn't really ask that question until this time. Every other
Release
time...
the Kung Fu Joe cut!
And he said there was 57 of them cops. That was part of the line. Just you 57 punks against Kung Fu Joe?
Counted them. I'm 57. What?
Yeah, that's such a random number to pick as a random number. But yeah, him, Fly Guy was cool in his own right.
I mean, standout moments. Every scene with Bernie Casey. I mean, as far as like he is so insanely natural and just exists. Like, he makes everybody else in the movie look like terrible actors. Like, the movie doesn't need anybody to be great actors, but I was just so, and I've enjoyed him in other things, but I was just so honestly moved from an acting standpoint of just how effortless Bernie Casey is as John Slade. Like, it's just just existence.
Yeah,
like it's pretty.
I did love him as John Slade. It's just like, he was just a real cool dude. And he had me thinking he had me thinking until I was nigh an adult, or at least had seen the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft thing. He had me thinking that was actually Slade's theme. I'm not gonna lie, because they start playing Shaft's theme music, but it just had the band behind them. What is this? Oh, that's my theme music. Every good hero should have one. I'm like,
yeah.
I would love that.
The second the DJ came into frame at the end of the movie, I knew. I was like, yes, that's excellent. That's excellent. I got cool theme music.
With KRS-One apparently.
Yeah, I mean, no, that final song, that final rap is amazing. Yeah,
the movie is great. The fucking Pimp of the Year was something that I had put so things I had put down before I had even like.
So was that a direct homage on the Chappelle Show?
What, with the player hater ball?
Oh right, it was the player hater ball.
It was the player hater's ball, but it's almost the exact same thing.
Right, it's like it's the same basic concept.
Yeah, they dress the same. They all are pimps or player haters or whatever. That is what their profession is. They all talk about like how I think it was like
what's
or
thievery and what's an homage.
Yeah, I feel like with the player haters ball, it was pimps and pimp likes. They're like some of them were like, I got all the hoes or whatever. Some dudes like, I'm just here. I dress and act like this, but I'm not necessarily a pimp. Then you got the Chinese dude that was a pimp. That was hilarious. No, the player haters ball was, I think, kind of like a direct homage or just very much inspired by Pimp of the Year.
Yeah.
He's the pimp of the year.
It went on for so long.
He's the
pimp. Poor Fly Guy. Like,
when he came out of the prison with them shit. It was such a. The worst part is, I thought that was a sick suit when I was a kid. I'm like, that's sick.
I want some aquarium shoes.
I think that was the one thing that I had a question mark about, but I wasn't totally turning them down. Because at first it's like, that's weird. At the same time, that might be cool. Just to have like...
Yeah.
But then it's like, growing up, I'm like, walking on that would have to be terrible.
But also, like, any era that I grew up in, I feel like if somebody was bold enough to strut down the street in something like that, nobody would be heckling them. Maybe, but like I feel like there would be woos and supports, now, even if it's potentially ironic.
Yeah, like
supports and woos and things like.
Yeah, even like there have been things where I'm like, I'm gonna get a lot of weird looks for wearing this. That I got a lot more like. Oh, hey, what the hell?
Because people respect a bold choice at the end of the day.
Is that your face on your shirt?
Yeah, and if it's like clean and nice, you know, like those are other things where it's like, oh, well, he's not like not like some crazy person. He just likes fancy suits.
Yeah, but I feel like because it was in the 80s and they were probably immediately trying to be anti, 70s culture, and it was in that particular like area, it was probably more of a Because some of the people, when he started off, were like, check out old dude. He's got his thing. And so he was feeling himself walking down the streets until somebody else was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then everybody just,
Yeah, I mean, no, honestly, like this is one of the moments where it's like, I really enjoy the scene, but I don't know if it's for this movie because it's almost a very powerful scene. Like, it's a very emotional scene
like,
of this poor dude,
on, man.
like gripping with reality after years locked away in prison.
Yeah.
And like how the world has changed without him, kind of thing. Like, these are huge emotional concepts that there's not a whole lot of jokes. Like, if there's any joke, it's that there's fish in his shoes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the joke. And so, yeah, it's a great scene and I love it. And Antonio Fargas as Fly Guy does an amazing job doing that small turn slowly as he struts from extremely confident to amazing, like insanely guarded and nervous, and it's really well done. But I'm like, is it for this movie? Is it for the movie about the guy who died from wearing too much gold chains?
Well, you had the Gang Olympics, which I didn't say before. Just carjacking. Well, something they said like over the speaker as Jack is meeting with Slade in the like little side tent, just like, we're beginning the elderly person robbery and mugging competition soon. Please get ready. I'm like, what are we doing?
I didn't catch that.
But yeah, there was a lot. I feel like they were trying to mix in like messages with that as well, like, or they're poking fun at the culture by also pointing out problems with it, like with the Gang Olympics and stuff like that, or the whole gold chains thing. Like, y'all are way too obsessed with this. I like the running gag of, how the fuck does he go to sleep? How the hell does he use the bathroom with all this shit on? Like, everybody who sees it, that's just one of the first things. How the hell did he go to the bathroom with all this stuff on?
You swing it to the back.
But yeah, so Kim wins, by the way, we mentioned earlier. Fucking when the Saints go marching in and her rendition of it, and the fact that it plays throughout the entire scene in the background, and she's just going, just when the Saints, the fucking on the ground, go marching in. It's like, who the hell? And the joke that I didn't pick up on as a kid when they're like, who the hell is that? That's the director's sister. And then cutting to Keenen Ivory, just like, yeah. I had seen it. I recognized the line, but I guess I always thought when she said director's sister when I was younger, I was thinking it was like the owner of the bar's sister. And she's on stage. And so and there's it didn't pick up with me that it was Keenen Ivory. I also didn't know he directed it when I was a little kid.
And I don't know about you, but like there's a certain age level where we may know the word director, but we don't know what that is.
Also true.
Or what it does, or what that means.
I love a lot of the stuff that I did not pick up on actually being, I'm like, I'm an adult, so I get these jokes.
I was just wondering what Kim had been up to, because like I loved her in Living Color, and
she's one of my favorite wins. Or at least from what I can remember. Let me not say
she appeared in the Wayans Brothers TV show. Oh, she's done a lot of voice acting work.
Okay.
Any of her live action work, I can't place her.
Fair enough.
Like, I know I've seen Joanna Man, and I don't remember her in it.
I can see her being in that though.
But I can see her. Yeah, I mean, But yeah. Yeah, I loved her in Living Color.
Yeah. She's hilarious. She's one of the more consistently hilarious Wayans.
Mm-hmm.
And
The I don't know what her official character name is, but the gossip bitch at the apartment complex.
oh, okay.
Like I feel like that was one of her most consistent characters that I remember that always cracked me up.
Yeah. What else? Oh, fucking Cherry, who I saw like it listed, the Cherry Surprise was the character's name. The fucking lady at the bar with Slade is telling him, "When's the last time you've been laid?" "Well, I'm saving myself for the right person." No, you gotta understand. There's being loved, there's being laid. Now, when I was with your mother, hey, no, that was being loved. That they're over at the bar, that's for being laid.
Standout moment. Like I said, this movie is packed with bits. It's packed with bits. But
My eyes.
good Lord. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't hilarious, but I'm also going to pretend that I'm not positive if it's a very problematic scene or not. But it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. I don't know about problematic. I never got that because I think they took the concept that everybody lies. For the kids out there, you know how you might lie on your Tinder profile? People were lying in person back in the day. And so she was like, sits down, she's like, "You gotta have what I need." He's like, "What's that?" 12 inches. Slade just like, damn. He's like, oh god. He's like, well, I got it. Turns out he's like, okay, yeah, I don't have 12 inches. And so she's like, oh, that's okay. My eyes aren't really green. And she's like, this isn't my hair. This brush pops off the thing. She's like, this voluptuous ass of mine. It's like, he's like, oh, please stop. And he's like,
cut to a rubber butt just like slapping onto the ground.
And then she's just like, wait, guys always get a kick out of this. Oh, I just got that. Guys get a kick out of this. And she just pulls off the bottom part of her leg. He's just like, oh, God. So it just took the common thing and just turned it up to fucking 15. And especially as a kid, I found it hilarious, which definitely helped make it even. I see where you say it might be problematic, but come on now. I'm just acknowledging. Yeah,
I'm just calling a spade a potential spade. But I'm also saying that it was hilarious. I laughed, but I also acknowledge if somebody could view that as through the lens of like, I think ableist is the term or something like that.
But she's like, don't make me hop after you.
While we're talking about random characters with random names, another scene that I had seen before, probably in my viewing of it as a child, rib joint customer, played by Mr. Chris Rock, and I believe his very first on camera thing.
I think so.
Just double checking that real quick, but I mean, it's fucking hilarious dialogue. It is hilarious dialogue.
Had that as listed as one of my things as well.
Okay, no. The parking lot attendant in Beverly Hills Cop 2 is actually before I'm gonna get you, Sucka.
Okay.
So this was not his first
gotcha.
Thing.
Gotcha. What the hell is all right? I rather just like the line. But yeah, there's that whole fucking movie, like you said, just standout moments all around, lots of laughs to be had. Then you had the running gag of fucking you can go out the door or take the stairs. And they did one of those things I like where you overplay a joke or over repeat it till you're like, and then bring it in one more time and it's hilarious again. Like the thing at the very end where it's just like,
it's a risky proposition.
It is. but when it pays off.
For when it pays off.
Yeah, just man.
I don't know if you acknowledge that it doesn't pay off 100% of the time.
I still like it. I'm a risk taker. I'm a gambler. It's a good thing I'm broke, or I'd be broke. But no, it works in this one. Obviously, when it does actually play off, it works.
Right. Running gags throughout this movie. Another one is Jack Spade's mother being an absolute badass.
I love it. Ain't no one gonna hurt my baby. When she showed up with the gun at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Now I get it. She apparently had did this like 5 other times in the movie. Because, like, as a kid, I'm like, okay, that's funny. I mean, you know, but that just seems like a cool mom.
Yeah.
Then I realized,
Jeanette Dubois did a great job
She's in a lot of stuff.
As the mom.
She cracked me up when the girl, the love interest, whose name escapes me, she when she was talking about Junebug being dead, like, I can't believe nobody came to see Junebug, and the mom just like, oh, come on now, you know Junebug wasn't shit. Damn. Tell us how you really feel. Oh, also another thing that I understood this time, as opposed to when I would see it in the kid, when they're in the fucking hat bar and the people are inside the hats. It's with the guns, and then he sees one and starts beating the shit out of him and says Evans family. And now that I saw the beginning, I'm like, that's a callback to what he said when he was a kid. He got beat up by like that whole family. He's like, no, you, I'll get you. I'm like, I understand it now.
Another scene that stand out in a like probably, I guess, a bigger deal in 1988. But when they give a big moment for John Vernon as Mr. Big in the end, when he comes in and either Slade or Slate, I'm only just now realizing that their names are Spade or Slade.
Yeah,
it's Jack Spade and John Slade.
Yeah,
or the mom or the girlfriend. I don't remember who, but somebody's like, you're Mr. Big? And we get this huge moment of like, I know, right? But it's not that crazy. Lots of big actors. Like, for somebody to have that big monologue and me not know who the fuck you are at all.
Same. I wondered that my whole fucking life.
Like that, it makes that monologue completely irrelevant and stupid, because like I'm like, I have no fucking clue who you are, bro.
Yeah, it's just like, you're Mr. Big, but I thought you were what? Above doing an exploitation film? Lots of big actors have done them, and they list a lot of people that I know of.
Right. I knew, I think, everybody that they named.
And now I'm Mr. Big. Well, there ain't gonna be a sequel this time, and then just. I got you, sucker. Yeah, fucking. What else? Oh, the Black Revolutionary at the beginning. Fucking Clarence Williams. Fucking legend, him in and of himself.
And the little boy's essay, his book report.
And his reactions as he was hearing it. Yes. It's fantastic. Like, I thought you guys were gonna fight. Oh, that's the problem. They went in with guns. They came out with jobs. Suddenly they didn't want to fight no more. Like, well, damn. That's one of those other things where I feel like it's kind of like of joke, but also kind of like meant to be like a little message thrown in there. And
Right.
again, with "Don't Be a Menace," whenever they were trying to throw in messages, they had the running gag of "message" to throw it in there. So just to be more about, oh yeah, they probably did take what little notes they were like, all right, if we're doing another one of these parody films, this is what we got to do with it. And so they did, but. That whole fuck. Oh, another line I didn't get forever until now that I know who Jim Brown is. You know, because it was pre my sports awakening back when I used
What
to
makes
watch
you
this.
think you could be a black American hero?
I'm an ex-football player.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Okay, that's cool with me.
exactly. Like, well, I can't stop him now. That character was just Slapper was awesome just because fucking the one shot and always hitting, no matter how much they miss, just slowly. Fuck you. Fuck you.
At one point, the dude, Willie, played by Kadeem, he's like, I've counted like 20 shots and you have not reloaded once. That gun has 6 bullets. And Slade just goes, yeah.
That's right. You ain't reload once. That's right.
Yeah.
Gags all over the fucking dynamite. But he's like, I'm gonna go rappel down and throw the dynamite through the window. So they just start playing the fucking. And it just fucking blows up. I'm like, damn, this went downhill for them so fast. They had all these people, they were getting ready to fucking go attack the guy. Where Kung Fu Joe gets attacked by the cops, fucking Hammer trips on a bullet and shoots himself to death in one of the best fucking montages ever. Fucking.
I had to rewind it.
Yes, it's the most hilarious thing.
Had to rewind it and watch it again immediately.
It's fantastic. But yeah. So, what kind of roles? Look, man. The more I talk about it, the more I fucking love this fucking movie. So, what role would you play in this movie, man?
Based on your casting decisions, I have one option in this film, and his name is Mr. Big, or the guy who answers the phone at the police station.
No, just like some of the previous things where you're like, well, Lamar, you have a pattern. But as you may notice, not a lot of you in this film. So what you pick? But let's say, because not all of them really require a race thing, except for maybe Mr. Big.
Right. I would like I don't know, the way I always play this game, because and I don't know if anybody is taking this segment that we do as some sort of ego trip as us to be like, what could we do better, or we should be in films.
Like, I don't think they take that from us, especially because every time I immediately underwrite my own acting talent. I'm like, I can do this, but I don't know if I could be Al Capone. Not Al Capone.
No,
Al
like
Pacino.
When I'm doing this segment, I'm playing a weird game in my head where I'm like diluting this to a what if scenario of like, if this film was a community theater play production,
or just if you get a chance,
or like a student film in the neighborhood. Like, it's not this film, but it's this story, and like you get to get to be one of these characters. When I'm going and if I'm going to an audition of something like that for this story, I'm hoping I get Kadeem or Damon Wayans. Probably number one. Like that's where I'm like, best shot. Like I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll let me do that, but I could do that.
I mean, technically, Kadeem is Big's nephew.
Yeah. Right. I remember when he said that, I was like, oh.
And he calls him Uncle Mr. Big the whole time.
But then beyond that, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to, like, maybe in my later years, in my like 45 plus years, I could think about tackling a role like Slammer or Hammer.
Yeah. That's fair. And yes, it's kind of like he said, it's more like, fantasy casting for like a theater thing or like a smaller production, like a version of it.
Like
not
I'm just saying, yeah, like
we can do anything better than these actors. It's just
nobody wants to see this movie with me in one of these roles.
Yeah.
I'm not. There's a reason why I'm not.
But yeah, if in the ideal world where I would get, let's say this movie were made today and I got to audition and I'm like, this is what I would want to be in. If I'm not saying I could do it better than any of those characters, that's kind of how I see it. It's like, that just seems like it would be real fun. That'd be a real fun role to play. I have a passion. We both have passions for the arts and entertainment. I especially, had the whole acting passion as that. And so that's kind of how I look at it. What are these roles would be fun for me to play, or do I feel like I would have the best time performing? Whether or not I'm doing it better than those people is just like Kung Fu Joe for me in this one.
I'm always kind of pretending. I'm putting myself at the height of when I was acting and in artistic things often, and it's also and the last time I was acting with you, so it's always so I guess in my brain I'm kind of like, all right, so Mr. P announces that the fall play is I'm gonna get you, Sucka. And like it's the day before auditions and we're hanging out and we're shooting the shit our senior year, and I'm telling you that you're going to be cast as Kung Fu Joe. Either that or Mr. P would realize the gold he has in casting a pair of us in the Damon and Kadeem parts. Like Mr. P being Mr. P, if he has the thought, would geek out on casting you and Twain or you and me or me and Twain, knowing that we would goof with each other and elevate it somehow. But that would only be if that thought came to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this, and I can see that lens of it too. And some of these, I do think of it with the whole high school lens on, as you're putting. But like with this, is just, I don't know, Kung Fu Joe. I just love how. I guess that's just the attention whore in me.
That's what Mr. P would cast you. If it was one X season and I was casting, I would cast you in Keenan Ivory Wayans' part.
That was another role that I would be fine, because I mentioned that I also like the lead roles, and I think the Keenan Ivory one would be fun to do as well. Get ripped enough to. That dude was jacked. He looked like a former military.
Keenan's always been jacked. He pulled that card out several times in Living Color when he wanted to remind folks. There would suddenly be a skit where he's got his shirt ripped off.
Yeah, Keenan, that would be a fun role too, and just about all of them, obviously. But the pair thing with like either you and me, or me and Twain, or you and Twain, or something like that. I feel like that happened at some point where he did take two of us in the cast and just do, hey, yeah, they're the comic relief duo throughout. I don't. I
mean, there was Harvey, but Twain and I kind of forced that upon Mr. P. He and rightfully so, because we were kind of getting ridiculous with it. But there were 2 or 3 moments where him as the orderly and me as the director of the institution had moments on stage, just the 2 of us, and in each one of them we tried to do a bit, and every time we did it, the bit elevated. Like it grew from like me telling him to do something to me dramatically pointing for him to do something, to me giving him a shove to do something, to basically me throwing him across the stage. I remember that as one of the bits, because one of the desks was on wheels in order to quickly roll it in and out off of stage, and I basically threw him onto it.
And it just rolled.
He caught it, and it rolled, and it kept rolling, and it just stopped at the edge of the stage before rolling off of the stage. Mr. P was not a fan.
Nah. Was that one of the nights where the "look what you did" happened with the whole Ghost Lights thing? Because Ghost Lights was because of I think it was because of a Harvey performance that we lost it somewhere in there. I know at one point I was on stage and I heard "look what you just did" while everybody's laughing.
I thought that was you describing that one play that I wasn't in, either our freshman or sophomore year. It was like a saloon.
No, Face on the Barroom Floor wasn't blamed on the Ghost Lights. That was just me missing a cue. Me and the big man, Luke.
What would have gone wrong for Mr. P to freak out and blame?
No,
like I don't remember.
Do you remember the whole Ghost Lights thing, right?
Well, right. Yeah, I remember the concept of theater Ghost Lights.
Okay, so the story with this and how I found out about Ghost Lights, I'm pretty sure it was during Harvey. It was like a Friday night or a Saturday night performance where people were forgetting lines and stuff. People were dropping things on stage. I think someone dropped something. And because I remember you being like, "Look what you did!" Like the lines weren't the way they're supposed to be, but you guys were like improving and going with it.
It was like, who was it? Was Shannon your mom? Who was your mom? I feel like there was a I just in my memory I feel like there was a female that was balking at their lines really badly.
There may have been.
I'd also be thinking of Heaven Can Wait, where the main love interest the next year when we were out, and Twain was the lead in Heaven Can Wait. The female love interest was it was nowhere to be found.
Like it was only one night out of the like 4 showings we did, but something went wrong and it wasn't our best showing. And it got to the point to where we all thought we were screwed, oh God, Mr. P's gonna yell at us. And he hit us with the fucking curveball of coming out and apologizing. And he's like, "I'm sorry. This was my fault." What is he talking about? You see, Friday night, I didn't leave the Ghost Lights on. And if you don't turn the Ghost Lights on, the ghost of the theater will take over you and perform their version of the show because you didn't leave the lights on. And clearly that's what happened. So I let us all down. And we're like, what the fuck?
Right. I feel like I remember that weird bit. We decided
to try to make a mockumentary thing called Ghost Lights because we thought the whole concept was silly, and go from there. But I think that was during Harvey. But either way, I can see Mr. P not being a fan of some things where it's like, oh, God.
Maybe it was that night where I threw Twain into the desk, because that didn't look great. I mean, it was hilarious, but it didn't look great for the play. Like that was like when I looked, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I don't remember because I know it happened, and I know we were all like, "Ooh, we could have done better tonight, boys." But Mr. P decided to take the what? The Ghost Lights. What the fuck is the Ghost Lights? Look it up. Oh no, that's a thing. I've been at this school for 4 years. What? Who mentioned ghost lights? But that was a distraction. But yeah, no, Jack Spade.
I'm gonna get you Sucka.
Yeah, Jack Spade, great role to play. Or it would be fun to play. He has a lot of funny moments, and the whole like. He's not even the straight man, but he's kind of the straight man because he's the main character, but he's not really because he also has a lot of gags. But you know what I mean. I like that. Yeah, he's definitely that kind of role that would be fun. I can do those kind of things. I'm also a good bald guy, but just depends on who I'm with. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. So final thoughts on this movie.
Great, hilarious. Had an amazing time. If I'm gonna give some critiques of it, go harder. I want more. There's a reason why Keenan lets his siblings do a lot of the acting.
he went
and he does a lot of the
behind the camera as it went on.
When he has to go low, it's not that great. Mm-hmm. Like when he plays it up and goes big, it's great. But when he's got to be normal and quiet and the straight man, and then Bernie Casey is a revelation.
I pretty much second that opinion. I loved it. I was like
you second that. You identically second that opinion. That was a pretty detailed opinion.
I agree with your opinion. And now I'm going to continue to expound upon what I say. So yes, I agree with you. Those are a lot of great points, and I agree with all those points about critique, go harder. Keenan Ivory, the low points and the high points. That's what I'm saying. I agree. Bernie Casey, fantastic job. I was going to add on and say, like, at first I wasn't sure if it was going to be as funny as I remembered because it took a second to try and actually set up a plot for this comedy film. And I was like, I know there's some funny stuff. And then as it kept going, I'm like, okay, yeah, fucking love this movie. I love it. And as we talked about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I cement it. Fucking love it. Cement it in. So yeah, there you have it. Final thoughts is we fucking love it. It has its flaws, but who doesn't? What?
No,
yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you said something.
We're live. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Sorry, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Oh, right. No, I had panicked for a moment that, we have a natural rotation.
Oh.
And you submitted, I'm gonna get you Sucka. And I had a moment of sudden panic that I had not spent a single second thinking about what I was going to submit to you. Then I realized that I don't have to, because you and I are going to watch Lady Bird for the first time.
Lady Bird? About the dog from King of the Hill?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Who told us about that one?
I don't know.
Oh.
I guess we'll find out.
Next week. Adiosness.
We're going?
Oh, bye. Yeah, I guess we did that. I don't know.